Kero sat outside a furry convention and began to speak out loud to any young fur who would listen. He began to speak. "I got interviewed by Shane Dawson, but do they call me Kero the furry who got interviewed by Shane Dawson?" he asked, then answered his own question. "No," he continued. "Take a look at my YouTube channel. I have a check mark from reaching 100,000 subscribers. Do they call me Kero the YouTuber with over 100,000 subs? No. Do you see these collabs? I collabed with Majira Strawberry. Do they call me Kero the fur who collabed with Majira Strawberry? No. But you filmed yourself boinking one dog." Cancel culture. Cancel culture is defined as a modern form of ostracism in which someone is thrust out of social or professional circles, whether it be online, on social media, or in person. Those who are subject to this ostracism are said to have been canceled. The expression cancel culture has mostly negative connotations and is commonly used in debates on free speech and censorship. The notion of cancel culture is a variant on the term call-out culture and constitutes a form of boycotting involving an individual, usually a celebrity, who is deemed to have acted or spoken in a questionable or controversial manner. For those on the receiving end of cancel culture, the consequences can lead to loss of reputation and income, from which it can be hard to recover. Cancel culture is always used to describe an unjust situation of canceling someone over wrongthink and desire to censor anyone with opposing views. When you invoke the term cancel culture, it is to point out how sensitive people are being to opposing views that cause no harm in their existence. Today, we are updating you on something that is the opposite of cancel culture. Today, I bring you an update on the horrific tale of Kero and the Zoo Crew. Less than a year ago, I made a 2-part series detailing the most disgusting part of the internet I've ever stumbled upon. The evidence to pinpoint horrific animal cruelty onto certain people was very solid in this case. I'd bet my own life on the validity of many of the claims. I'm going to briefly summarize it if you haven't seen the 2-part series. A lot of people have said it's too graphic. So just a content warning, we're going to be talking about some gross stuff in this video. And if you already know the details of this case and want to skip ahead, I'll put a timestamp right here to skip ahead. September 16th, 2018, a user on Twitter named Pseudonym leaked Telegram logs. Lots of furries were in the leak, but Kero the Wolf, a famous YouTube furry, became the main focus of the leaks at the beginning. In the leaks were horrific things, talking about vile animal sexual abuse. Because Kero was the focus of the leaks, a lot of things were incorrectly pinned on him. He was not in any of the videos leaked originally. And originally it seemed he was just talking to someone named Snake Thing about wanting to do and possibly actually doing horrible sexual abuse to animals, including his dog Coda. I go into graphic details of the logs in my series. Kero originally said he was not the person in the conversations, and that his account was hacked. He posted proof to Twitter, but it became obvious that his proof showing someone from Iran accessing his account was from an account using a VPN. And this Iranian super hacker's excuse was the worst excuse in probably internet history. But long story short, the leaks were horrifying. Someone using Kero's username talked about fingering puppies and other nasty stuff. But the thing is, Kero's account wasn't the worst one involved in the drama. Kero said that this Kero in the chat was 100% not him at first, and people began to go through the evidence to see whether it was him or not. PK Russell, a YouTuber, released a video going over the drama, saying it was possible that Kero could have been hacked and poisoned the well of discussion. But the others going through the logs found a lot of insane coincidental information that would practically have needed to be explained by God did it or magic for it to make logical sense that it wasn't Kero. I went over all of this in my original series, but basically Kero's hacking excuse was a no-go. The logs were exports of codes from the server, which you could not edit, from what I understand. But the problem is, it was over 2 years of conversations that had so many aligned details. If the person had fabricated them, they would have to be the craziest Kero stalker to the smallest detail. That and people were arrested because of the logs. So everything else was real, just not the stuff for the person with the most to lose? That's what Kero's excuse was. Alright, I'm going to briefly sum up some of the things that lined up. The Telegram Kero and the YouTube Kero posted about Smash Mouth on the same day. One cannot edit messages in Telegram after a certain amount of time, and the server with all these messages were available for anyone to download server side. To say someone found an exploit that nobody else knows just to fuck with one furry makes no sense. Continuing. His locations matched up between the Telegram and the YouTube account. The Telegram Kero got his fursuit the same time as the YouTuber Kero, and the fursuit looked the same. This was all before Kero had a large following too. Also, some of the pictures of the fursuit didn't appear on any of Kero's social media, and there were no results in a reverse Google image search. The Telegram Kero also went to Anthrocon at the same time as the YouTuber Kero. The Telegram Kero had room decor that lined up with the YouTuber Kero. Oh, and the Telegram Kero also got interviewed by Shane Dawson on the same day as the YouTuber Kero. Not only that, but one of the furries arrested for their activities in the chat said it was Kero in the chat. In addition to this, people who had conversations with Kero on Telegram, YouTuber friends, said that they used their conversations with Kero to match the ID numbers with the Kero in the Telegram leaks. It's hard to explain, but it all pretty easily linked, and Kero did not do a good job of covering his tracks. People going through the logs also could line up the YouTuber Kero's boyfriend to the Telegram Kero. This guy had the handle ill1sheppypaws, though YouTuber Kero fabricated a fake name of someone no one has heard of. You see, the Telegram Kero and the YouTuber Kero both lost their boyfriend to drug use at the same time, but the YouTuber Kero gave a fake name to the boyfriend, Colin Collie, because the real boyfriend named in the Telegram chat was a horrific animal abuser who is well known on the dark web website, Animals Dark Paradise, that you could only fathom in your worst nightmares. The descriptions I've read of what is produced there, humans shouldn't be able to think to do these things, but it's what Kero's alleged boyfriend was into. Not only that, but when people started to match Kero's YouTube boyfriend to the Telegram boyfriend, Kero removed his boyfriend video from YouTube. It seemed like he was caught.
Or how about that time you deleted all your tweets and privated the video about your boyfriend, Colin Collie, after people pointed out he was actually the zoo sadist, ill1sheppypaws?
Kero, however, did admit to furry YouTuber KOTHORIX that the chat logs were real. We'll kind of admit, we'll go over that in a little bit. In the chat between Kero, Zausch, and KOTHORIX that later leaked, Kero told KOTHORIX to use a script saying that the logs were real. He reviewed the script and approved of it. But Kero just wanted KOTHORIX to rewrite the script to word his sexual interest in animals differently, and wanted him to call it into feral artwork. KOTHORIX didn't do this and released his video. But then later, the same day as the KOTHORIX video dropping, Kero went on a video to say the logs were fake again. His story kept changing. Again, this is all detailed in my two-part series. Originally, there was no evidence of Kero doing anything to animals. There were videos that people thought were Kero in the original leaks, but they turned out to obviously not be Kero. At the beginning, it just seemed like Kero talked about doing things to animals, and Kero tried to pass it off as locker room talk. To be fair though, even if Kero did not partake in the stuff, he's still pretty gross to fantasize about it. Eventually, videos did leak of what looked like Kero abusing his dog. How people identified the person in the video as most likely Kero is by matching the room in the videos to periscopes Kero had done, as well as patterns on the dog. Levi Dane Simmons, or Snake Thing, got arrested in October 2018 due to what was in the logs. And eventually, on November 7th, 2018, a video of what looked to be Kero abusing his dog was found. The dog in the videos had the same pattern as Kero's dog, Coda. The person in the video had a very similar jacket to Kero. The person in the video also had very similar shoes to Kero. Not only that, but another account that we'll go over in a little bit, that was also linked to Kero, was also sharing the same video. Oh, and even more Kero's hand and the hand of the person in the video matched up. There was even a partial face shot of the person in the video, and people thought that that resembled Kero shaved. It was just a lot of coincidences. And it got worse. Kero went under police investigation after all this, but Wolf, one of the worst person in the leaks, and Snake Thing were both arrested because of what was in the chat logs. Not only that, but videos in the leaks got another person arrested as well. A young man who recorded himself sexually abusing his husky, Corey TWC. Kero would claim he was innocent and these chat logs were fake because he wasn't arrested, as if that proves absolute innocence. Meanwhile, 3 people were arrested. After a while in the controversy, Kero left the furry fandom on November 29, 2018, and in his announcement, he just blamed people for wasting police time for reporting him for his alleged crimes. Kero did continue to talk about his interest in dead animals sexually after all of this, with his official account. Though talking about animals sexually isn't illegal, but it just shows that he has an interest directly linking to his main accounts. It's a lot of coincidences here, isn't it? I mean, all of these accounts kind of link to each other. And now we're going into 2019. Kero put out another statement about leaving the fandom again, not taking any responsibility or addressing anything in a way that would convince people that he is innocent of being a zoophile. Not only that, but soon after this, one of his original defenders, PK Russell, put up a video about how he no longer believed Kero to be innocent. And then after this, an account on a bestiality forum was found where there were pictures of Kero's dog posted, talking about committing sexual acts to the dog, and these photos were posted to the forum well before Kero posted them to any of his official accounts, meaning that it was extremely unlikely that someone somehow had photos of this puppy before Kero ever posted the dog publicly.
The Dogman 2 posted a thread where he shared 2 photos of a black and brown puppy. These same photos of the same dog can be found on Kero's Fur Affinity account, posted months and even a year after the Dogman 2 shared them on Beast Forum. In fact, the Beast Forum post predates Kero's entire FA account.
Not only that, there was a video of a faceless person uploaded to the website abusing this dog that matched Kero's dog exactly. In 2019, there was an update to Kero's police investigation from the YouTuber Archive the Wolf, who reported that the New York investigation into Kero was closed.
Kero's Beast Forum account is the source of the video sent to the New York police. The file format is different, but it's easy enough to convert a WMV file to an MP4 file if you have basic video editing software. This explains what the jumble of numbers in the file name are. They're the date and time the recording started. November 29th, 2014, 23 minutes and 40 seconds past midnight. A date 2 years too old for the New York police to do anything to charge Kero with either bestiality or distribution of this video. Of course a judge wouldn't sign off on a warrant for a search or an arrest based off this evidence. They legally couldn't. Kero could have shown his full face, stated his name, and confessed to what he was doing, and the police couldn't do a damn thing.
Kero himself will say he complied, but later on his friends told different stories. I don't know who's telling the truth, but Kero has non-stop lied, so I trust him the least out of everyone. But it turned out that the video found of someone who had a lot of similarities to Kero sexually abusing their dog fell outside the statute of limitations. Justice for animals isn't taken that seriously in any place of the world. Time shouldn't run out when there's a victim. So there was a video posted of a dog looking exactly like Kero's dog being abused from the account on the Beast forums that had pictures of Kero's dog as a puppy before Kero himself had posted the same pictures on any of his official accounts. And at this time, the Pennsylvania investigation was still in progress. But I want to point out that convicting someone solely on animal cruelty is extremely difficult. Here's an expert talking about it from a Dog Patch Press article where he interviewed a criminologist named Jenny Edwards, who was questioned, if people want to help, what's the best way? To which she answers, first of all, be safe. But don't even think about approaching law enforcement until you have some physical evidence or a hell of a lot of probable cause that you know firsthand. Therein lies the challenge with internet chats. You're not physically in the room, having a direct conversation with a person, so technically it's all hearsay. Video evidence is very strong, but only usable if the animals or people are identifiable, and in some jurisdictions, there are statutes of limitations. How can you prove when it happened unless you were there? And if you were there, are you implicated? Sometime in 2020, Kero said he only left because the police had his video making devices. But this was not at all the case, because eventually he just got new equipment and uploaded content to Patreon. Kero can't stop lying. In fact, take a drink every time Kero lies. Also in 2020, more videos and chat logs were leaked on March 11th, 2020, where people found videos that had more lining up to Kero's house. This included the ceiling beams that appeared in a Kero video and his electrical black outlet. Now, we are going into what has happened since my last part. This was all a refresher. Kero has reared his head again to the public, October 28th, 2020, to post to his community tab, writing, "Hey guys, it's been a while. I've missed talking to you. I just finished watching the debate and oh my god, it was like a hot pocket with no cheese. Just soggy and disappointing. I don't know if you saw it too, but it was something. The future matters so much. I'm normally not into politics, but the country is going through a lot, and this election is very important. We don't want the future of this country to be a hot pocket with no cheese and a hard shell. That's just nasty. So if you're able to, please vote. We need to all come together and have our voices heard to say what we want for the future of this country. We want to fight for equality, fair treatment, the earth, and all who inhabit it. Let's all stand together and vote for what's best for America and the world." And then he linked betterknowballot.com. He was obviously testing the waters. But then even more d***ing. January 14th, 2021, someone got access to Kero's Reddit account. And oh boy. Now, I cannot 100% confirm this is Kero's account, but it seems very likely. And this is what Archive the Wolf said on Twitter about how the account was found. They write, "Hard proof Kero the Wolf is user the Dogman2, a Reddit zoo sadist who has been in talks with puppy torturer Tim, user Dogslot Amoroso, since 2016. Kero's messages are in green, Tim's are in black." In January 2021, information gathered from hacking into the Dogman2 account was posted to Kiwi Farms. It was alleged to be connected to Kero's email, but all that was provided was a screenshot showing the account was suspended, nothing conclusive. While trying to figure out how to confirm the account was his, the hackers found the password for the user Dogman2 account was the same as Kero's email password. With access to his emails, they were able to find that by September 2020, Kero had 2 Reddit accounts connected to his email. An email confirmed user Kero the Wolf was one of them, but the other was unknown. To make sure the user the Dogman2 had truly been verified to Kero's email prior to the hackers unsuspending the Reddit account in 2021, they ran a Reddit username recovery for this email. It turned up 2 results for 2 accounts, user Kero the Wolf and user the Dogman2. The Dogman2 was also Kero's username on the now defunct bestiality site, Beast Forum, where he was uploading pictures of his dog Coda nearly a year before he shared those same pictures on Fur Affinity. He also posted numerous videos and pictures of himself abusing Coda. The Reddit DM screenshots have been around since January. I knew the account had to be Kero's, because user the Dogman2 was created in 2016, and the connection between that name and Kero wasn't discovered until 2019. But until all this, I wasn't sure the DMs were real. They continue. Everything presented lined up. The writing pattern matches Kero. The accounts he was interacting with are real, and were around at the time the DMs happened. But even by Kero's known standards, the talk of tying up dogs, the disemboweling / decapitating dead animals was extreme. But after all this, I know the DMs are real, and that means Kero has produced necro-bestiality content for places like Animal Nightmare. So what was discovered were DMs between Kero and Snake Thing, the man who was arrested due to the leaks, and someone named Timwin, one of the most horrific animal abusers I've ever heard of. Archive the Wolf did a video on him going into detail, but warning, it is disgusting. Back to the DMs. For example, this account had DM'd Snake Thing that he liked to get animals to gag on his cock. Also in the DMs, the Dogman2 account and Snake Thing talked about subreddits called Animals Nightmare, Men F***ing Animals, and other zoophilia subreddits. The Dogman2 DM'd Snake Thing telling him that he f***ed a dead raccoon and submitted the video to Reddit. Where are the videos now, you may ask? Well, there were DMs from this account from 4 years ago, saying the videos of him f***ing dead animals was wiped, but he said he would make new material. This alleged Kero account writes,
"I thought I had it all backed up, but sadly I didn't. I'm super sad that it's all gone, but got to stay positive about it. I can just make new material when the time comes up. But I have done one thing recently. But I didn't get to record it. Because I didn't have time to do it because of stuff. But my friend shot a deer and he let me f*** the corpse before he skinned him. I f***ed every hole in him. His tail hole was the best, mouth was nice, but there was a lot of blood coming out. I wanted to do more, but I had a short time to do everything. But next time I want to find a coyote or another fox so I can f*** the living hell out of it. Dead or alive, I love talking about this with other people. Let me know if I'm too graphic. And that's good that you're doing good. It would be awesome if we could hang out and have some sexy time with the dog."
Here's another message from the alleged Kero to Snake Thing. Of course, trigger warning, this is gross.
"Gah, I f***ing love doing that. Most people hump their throat, but I rather them do all the work for me. I push down their throat and let them gag on me till I come. Which it only takes about 10 seconds or less when I'm in their throat and they're choking on me. But the best part is when you tie them up so they can't move and then open their jaw as wide as you can and then slide your cock in as far as you can go. I got my balls touching almost to the back of their tongue. It felt absolutely amazing. And the gagging noises sounded great too. I almost made him throw up.
In another DM, the alleged Kero messages someone named Crimson Wolf 80 about loving their videos on animal nightmares and wanting to see more coyote stuff. In another post to Timwin, the alleged Kero writes,
Interesting reply to my necro post. I'm not into breaking bones, but one thing I like to do is if their intestines are exposed, I like to cut it open and then fuck their large intestine. It's also fun to do that with their throat as well. What dead animals have you done?
So this account, it seems to be his. It's associated with its email account, one that he's confirmed on his Fur Affinity that has been archived and shown to be his, and the conversation from it were with real, verifiable accounts. So let's go into some other things, some crazy stuff. Like how Kero's friend, Sniff Heinkel, kinda outed Kero because he DM'd an anti-Kero person on Twitter that Kero admitted to him about molesting his family dog. He basically said to this person, "Joke's on you, Kero only blew his dog." Like that was a known. And also, then Sniff Heinkel also commented on Archive the Wolf's channel a while back, saying that Kero's family didn't consent to the search. He wrote in his comment, "Kero didn't fuck his dog to death. Kota died from kidney failure. It's ridiculous that people keep saying he fucked his dog to death. Stop saying that. It's not true. Also, wah, his parents didn't consent to a search. Doesn't that burn your ass that you and your little internet posse didn't get your way? There are checks and balances in our justice system for a reason. You can't just accuse a person of a serious crime and throw the book at them without evidence. 90% of the things that people have accused Kero of are utter bullshit. He filmed himself giving his dog a handjob. That's all he did. If that offends you, fine. But stop making shit up and exaggerating the situation to incite hatred toward the guy. People who do shit like this disgust me. And f*** McBitty Paws. She's scum." Also, sometime in 2019, Kero's friend, V. Oni Omega, admitted to knowing that Kero is guilty. V writes, "But yes, Kero is guilty of things from the very distant past. However, the last time he did these things were years ago, and he just currently has interest in it, in the realm of fantasy. If anything, he's more into Pokemon now. He just looks now, never does." Another friend of Kero's also commented on Archive the Wolf's channel, Shaspio Borderwolf. Kero and Shaspio have connections dating back years on Facebook. Basically, Shaspio said Kero was a zoophile, but he wasn't a sadist, and acted more degenerate in chats to get pics from Snake Thing. In the comments, Shaspio also said that he requested pictures of Kero's dog's and that Kero had taken pictures for him of Kota's Lovely. So Kero decided he was finally coming back on March 12th, 2021, with a video titled, My Side. This video is a perfect example to play the Kero drinking game. Drink every time he lies. The video is meant to be a comeback video and respond to all the accusations, but spoiler alert, it was a 15-minute pity fest. For Kero to be innocent of all his crimes at this point, with the amount of evidence that has come forward, it would have to be either an event where either magic got all this evidence planted to make him look guilty, or God really hates him and decided to bend the laws of reality to get an innocent man in trouble. Of course, that's just my opinion. I think I've been presenting a lot of evidence in these past 3 videos, and you can also check out Archive the Wolf's channel. That being said, Kero announced he was not arrested or charged for any of the accusations. This is why he now claims he didn't do anything. So, what does that mean? Well, for one, bestiality isn't really a crime where he is. Also, as said, the evidence showing him sexually assaulting his dog was outside the statute of limitations. So let's go through this video point by point. So Kero, at the beginning of the video, said that he wanted to cooperate with the police.
The police got involved right away. My whole plan was to cooperate and let the police work, and let them announce that I was innocent. Because this case seemed like a no-brainer. I thought the police would interview me, announce that they didn't find anything, proving the accusations wrong. I did go into the police station. I sat down for interviews. The police came to my apartment multiple times a week. Asked me questions like, "Where's the deer? Do you know this person?" I was constantly visited by them, and each and every time I let them search my apartment.
But one thing I'd like to point out is that Kero nonstop lies, as said. So take every statement with a grain of salt, if evidence isn't provided. 2. A Twitter user, McBittyPaws, followed the story, and in August 2019, detailed what was going on, writing, "Okay, I'll just write the bullet points then. New York closed their investigation due to lack of cooperation from Kero's parents. They tried to conduct a consent search of the property, which included the campers in the backyard, the garage, etc. They basically told the cops to get off their property and leave. Zank, who is a police officer that McBittyPaws was in contact with, is still going through devices with FBI. They can only do a couple at a time, and they seized about 30-some from Kero's apartment. Because Kero lawyered up, Zank has been unable to communicate with him at all, and the lawyer has been sending threats to release Kero's stuff back to him. Zank said many of the devices were scrubbed or coded, so they can't break into them. They continue. Yeah, he's been resistant since day one. After his first interview, he ran off, refused to continue interviews, lawyered up, and blocked all contact. I have no reason to distrust McBittyPaws. But anyways, so that could be a drink. Also, McBittyPaws told me that they requested the records of the Pennsylvania investigation. Kero really played the victim in this video, and then said the police did get a search warrant.
But what happened in January completely surprised me. The police were able to obtain a search warrant, which blew my mind. There's honestly nothing there to justify a search warrant.
Then Kero played the ultimate manipulative move.
They took everything, my cameras, my phone, my computer, all my hard drives. So after they took my stuff, I felt utterly hopeless. Without my video equipment, how could I fight back? They took the only thing I could use to help prove my innocence. This really took a toll on my mental health. I was suicidal, I was depressed, and I was just overall broken.
Kero then made the claim that the fandom needs fixing.
There are a lot of things that need fixing, but this is a place I truly belong, and no one is gonna tell me otherwise.
As someone not part of the furry fandom, yeah. The fandom has issues, and it's not because furries hate Kero the wolf. Just again, don't trust anything Kero says. He's been proven to lie nonstop, but he says he hired an attorney, and then tried to say this was all a waste of police time.
Police were wasting their time and resources while actual crimes were happening.
He's really trying to guilt anyone who cares about animals for caring when they read these logs. Kero also adds in that he had talked to Snake Thing before. The logs weren't real, and all they talked about was feral art.
While it is true I have talked to Snake Thing before, I didn't know he was a monster he turned out to be. We were not friends, just some guy I met in some furry group, and we talked about feral cartoons. The logs of me are not real. There was none of that nasty shit in there, just a normal conversation between two people who like feral characters.
Oh, I forgot to mention, speaking of feral art, Kero was planning to go to a con called FeralCon in 2020. I couldn't find a lot of information about it on the website, but the telegram for the event was full of open zoo files. Man, Kero certainly keeps interesting company. Kero then questions the validity of the user who posted the logs because they are a zoophile.
I want to point out the legitimacy of the person who posted the logs. This user claims to be an actual confessed zoophile, and the logs contain images of bestiality. How does that make him a legitimate source if he himself is one of those people that abuses animals?
First, what does that have to do with what you did? And also, Kero later in the video uses clips from a YouTuber named Kit the Solus. And using Kero's logic, let's see. Kit the Solus has been found on the Beast forums talking about having sex with his dog. Kit, like Kero, tried to say these posts were fake news.
Actually, yeah, if you want the explanation for that, it really was somebody impersonating me back in 2007, which, by the way, impersonation used to be a very, very, very common form of f***ing with someone.
But who really would pose as some nobody YouTuber like 13 years ago? Kit had only made his YouTube channel a year prior to these posts. It just seems unbelievable. And along with that, Kit has asked to see revenge on Twitter. He said it was to help report it to the cops, but it's just gross. Kero does a big fib here, so get your drinks ready. He said Snake Thing wasn't arrested for anything related in the logs.
Yes, people were arrested during this, like Snake Thing. But he wasn't arrested because of the logs. People did report him to the police, and they did investigate him. But his charges do not reflect what was in the logs.
Yeah, that's a drink. Snake Thing was charged with 5 counts of encouraging sexual assault of an animal, 7 counts of encouraging child sexual abuse in the first degree, and 19 counts of encouraging child sexual abuse in the second degree. How did these charges have nothing to do with the logs? The logs detail a situation where Snake Thing got a dog from Craigslist and r***ed it in a hotel room. It detailed him trying to hook up his underage family member with Sanji Nativis. These things were in the logs. What the f*** is Kero talking about? Kero also said Snake Thing nearly got away with this because of people focusing on him.
I'm glad Snake Thing is in jail. So many people were distracted by targeting me, while Snake Thing nearly got away with it.
Wrong! That's a lie. A. Snake Thing got 25 years in prison. That's not nearly getting away with it. And B. Snake Thing was originally arrested within a month of the leaks. Kero is really trying to drive home the guilt here. Then we get a huge lie from Kero. Get the drinks ready. Kero said KOTHORIX blackmailed him.
There was a thing going around about me about the KOTHORIX interview. I don't even want to call it an interview because that's not really what it was. But, we'll go with that for now. When the controversy first started, he messaged me on Twitter. He said he could help. So we took to Telegram to talk. Right away, he didn't listen to me, because he thought he knew everything based on the accusing tweets, and kept badgering me on changing my story. I threatened to leave the group chat with him and another person in it, because they were not listening to my side of the story, and jumping to conclusions. As soon as I said that, they proceeded to blackmail me, and said they would make a worse video if I didn't stay.
I don't know why Kero would say this. The entire DM conversation was leaked. We can read the whole thing. I'll link it below. And I went over the chat logs in my 2-part series, but because I'm focusing more on Kero now, so here we go, I found a lie. Kero in these logs said he had no idea who Snake Thing is, which Kero will say in his comeback video that he had talked to Snake Thing.
Well, it is true I have talked to Snake Thing before. I didn't know he was a monster he turned out to be.
So that's a lie. There are so many lies. I'm trying to figure out where Kero might try to interpret something as blackmail. He has a screen cap on screen of a very cropped section of the conversation, which confirms that the conversation leaked is real. It's been confirmed by KOTHORIX and Kero and Zausch, so every party involved has confirmed this is the real conversation. So let me see. At one point, KOTHORIX writes, Kero, the day is quickly approaching where I need to release some kind of video about all of this. There are some issues with your story that look incredibly suspicious, and if I don't know the truth, then all I can do is present them to the public as big, suspicious holes. I know you are dealing with the backlash from all of this, but this really isn't a good time to be so absent. This isn't the kind of thing that's just going to blow over. You can deny everything or you can admit to everything. Either way, it's still going to follow you for the rest of your YouTube career. The only difference is that if you are lying about anything right now, the truth will come out in the future, and we will have to go through all of this over again. It is in your best interest to be honest with me and the general public. At this point, I believe the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think that the entirety of the logs with Snake Thing are faked. I have evidence from numerous people showing that at least some of those messages are real. If you are lying about any of this, and I and many others can easily prove that it is a lie, it makes you look guilty of everything. People will likely never trust you. But if you admit to those easily demonstrable things, apologize to the general public for initially lying, and tell them that you are doing your best to do better, it might at least give people some hope for you. Do you understand? Which isn't blackmail. Going over the chat log some more, again I went over these in my original video briefly, but because we are focusing on Kero here again, I'll go over some more information I found in these logs. Kero also said the logs were real in this conversation, but he says that the only parts that aren't real are the ones that make him look bad. Wait, but earlier in the conversation, he said he never talked to Snake Thing before. Then on September 26th, 2018, KOTHORIX sent his first version of the script. Kero responded by saying that he did not like that KOTHORIX had called him a zoo. Kero then was trying to say that he had no interest in animals, to which KOTHORIX responded, "Do you really want to make that claim? That's going to put you under just as intense scrutiny as you are right now. People are analyzing little words and speech patterns and making videos about it. If they find out you lied about that, it'll be even worse for you. Plus, you're going to have to go through those entire logs and tell everyone exactly what things you said and didn't say. And if you are at all dishonest about any of it, people are going to find out." Is this what Kero thinks is blackmail? Kero also, and I pointed this out in my original series, tried to convince KOTHORIX any part of the logs that sounded bad were fake, but the rest were real. He said the bad stuff was switched and replaced to make him look bad. But I recall when the logs leaked, Furry Lawyer, Boozy Badger, analyzed the chats and said they flowed way too well to be out of context like these claims. Then KOTHORIX says Kero needs to be honest or people will think he's lying. Is this what Kero thinks is blackmail? After more back and forth, KOTHORIX tells Kero off by calling him a spaz and says Kero doesn't intimidate him and that he's trying to help him. KOTHORIX writes, You don't intimidate me. You have no point of leverage here. I'm trying to help you, you spaz. This is really simple. It's a plea deal. You had these conversations. I know it. You know it. Everyone with a brain knows it. Now you can take the plea deal and say, okay, I did it, and I can make you look as good as possible and get you your small sentence. Or you can go forward with this on your own and almost definitely lose and face a much worse sentence. Is this the blackmail? Oh wait, here's the blackmail. Zausch from the chat logs said Kero needs to stop disrespecting KOTHORIX and writes, I had to face a choice of telling the truth about the cub art logs or claim they were faked. It would have been far easier for me to make that claim than for you to claim these are fake. But I fell on my sword and my conscience is clear. I don't have to lie to anyone about it. Nobody that matters to me cares what I draw, and nobody that matters to you would care if you have zoophilic interests. Especially if you admit what parts of the evidence are true. That's the only leg you have to stand on to make people believe that you don't want to do the things you said you were interested in doing. If you throw this in Koth's face, I guarantee that video he makes will not be presenting any benefit of the doubt for you, and I wouldn't blame him. Here's what I think Zausch was saying. He was telling Kero he needed to stop lying. Kero had already lied in this conversation plenty of times, saying that he didn't know Snake Thing, then he did. Kero also lied about the text being edited, and he continued to lie about that in the conversation, up until KOTHORIX told him that that was impossible. Kero had been lying to them, and Zausch said continuing to lie will not make KOTHORIX have any belief in what Kero says. Kero, in these DMs, really tried to convince KOTHORIX that the messages were edited. KOTHORIX actually had good knowledge of Telegram, and responded, okay Kero, these messages are from July. You can't edit messages that are older than a few days. What you are saying is impossible. Can we stop lying about the edited logs now, or do I have to show more screenshots? And then later wrote, it's not the screenshots. It's forwarded messages. Who are you trying to fool? Anyone with the forwarded messages can check for themselves, and those messages are floating around. I've seen several videos from trustworthy people demonstrating that the forwarded messages are real. They are real, and they're impossible to edit or change. What I'm telling you is that if you say the logs are fake, it will blow up in your face immediately. People will know you are a liar, and they'll just assume everything people are saying about you is true, including the things about hurting animals. And I just wanted to add that what KOTHORIX is saying about Telegram and the validity of forwarded messages and how you can't just edit them, what he's saying lines up with what everyone else has said about Telegram. I'm not really a computer person, but it just seems so unlikely. Someone would have had to have access to his Telegram account for 2 years without his knowledge, and would have had to edit these messages within the time frame when the messages were still able to be edited. That was a mouthful. And this would have to be done without Kero's knowledge. Again, these aren't just screenshots. These are forwarded messages from Snake Thing's account. Someone had convinced Snake Thing to give them his login information. Kero has lied every step of the way. He lies until he can't lie anymore. Then Kero, in his new video, said he didn't read the revised script.
At this point in the controversy, I just wanted a friend to help me, because I didn't know how to handle this type of situation. I do admit, I did not handle everything well in the beginning of this. There's really no handbook on how to deal with a million people yelling at you and giving you death threats. More about that later. So I thought in the end, he would do the right thing. So I agreed to stay in the group. He gave me the revised script, but I didn't really look at it.
That's a drink! There's about 10 plus pages of Kero arguing about the revised script before he tells KOTHORIX to go with it. The logs are out there. Kero just hopes you don't read them. Sorry, it's just so ridiculous. And along with that, in the discussion, KOTHORIX sent Kero the video early to review, and Kero approved it, and later retweeted it. Kero is liar liar, plants for hire. I'll link the logs below. Then in Kero's comeback video, Kero decides to say that the accusations are false because Kiwi Farms posted about it.
A lot of people also sourced an internet harassment site. People are claiming it was a trustworthy site with reliable information. This isn't a group that's trustworthy. They are a group of stalkers and conspiracy theorists who ruin people's lives for fun.
1. The logs are a result of someone else getting access to Snake Thing's account and forwarding the messages. This started out on Snake Thing's real account. Just because Kiwi Farms commented on it doesn't make what you did suddenly not exist.
Attacking their credibility instead of attacking the actual evidence indicates you can't disprove what they have said about you.
He really tries to poison the well by saying this didn't happen because Kiwi Farms is homophobic and transphobic.
The goal of this website is to make fun of people and degrade them. It's full of homophobic, transphobic, and racist people.
How does that make the logs not real? What does that have to do with forwarded messages, Kero? But what exactly was lied about on Kiwi Farms? What people used were archived links from other sites.
Kiwi Farms is a gossip forum dedicated to chronicling the lives of weird people on the internet. They do this by collecting screenshots and archiving information put out there by the very people they talk about. I'm not here to defend everything Kiwi Farms users do or say you should believe everything you read there. Putting aside the bigotry and doxing that's allowed to be posted there, it is a public forum that anyone can join, and as such, you're not going to have an expert behind every post. In some threads, you're lucky if you can find someone who isn't a complete idiot. It's a place where anyone can say just about anything, for better or for worse. And it's why you need to rely on the screenshots and archives for information, not the commentary from the peanut gallery.
And as said, these logs were accessed directly from SnakeThing's account. I know I keep saying that, but I want to emphasize it. 3 people were arrested due to what was in the logs. Oh, but it was only fake about you because you, with your mediocre views and your one Shane Dawson interview, was worth all this effort. And Kero says the stupidest thing next.
Do you really want to put your trust in a website that defiled the memory of Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Yes!
An amazing woman that helped protect LGBT rights.
Yes!
Yes! I am!
Kero then tries to poison the well some more and discusses how originally videos were attributed to him that weren't him.
A lot of people pointed to me when it came to one of the videos. One in particular had a person's lips and their nose in it, and claimed it to be me with absolutely certainty. I don't understand how you can make that connection from a blurry photo. Same with that terrible deer video. People said it was confirmed to be me, but you can clearly see the guy's face in it. He has a visible tattoo on him too. I even posted pictures of my body on Twitter to disprove this. I got responses like, oh, you could've removed the tattoo. You could've had plastic surgery to change your face. What is this? You're grasping at straws because you want me guilty when I'm not.
This is true. For a few days, there was confusion, but everyone now doesn't cite those videos as being him, besides a few ill-informed people. Just because there are some mistakes that people made early on doesn't clear you.
This is all true. Kero was not in the deer video. He appears to have been sharing it on his alt account Yami the Wolf, but he had nothing to do with its actual production. The man in the video is a necrophilic zoophile who uses the pseudonym Gatorvent. He was identified through other animal abuse videos where the same chest tattoo can be seen. Now, keep it in your mind how Kero went into specific details about the deer video to prove his innocence, and let's compare it to how he handles the dog video.
One in particular had a person's lips and their nose in it, and claimed it to be me with absolutely certainty. I don't understand how you can make that connection from a blurry photo. Same with that terrible deer video.
Notice how he's suddenly skimping on the details? There's far more to the dog video than just a blurry face. Like the fact the dog was a match to Kero's dog, and the room was a match to Kero's parents' garage, and the clothes the person behind the camera was wearing were a match to Kero's clothes. And the video's origin was traced back to a Beastform account run by someone who talked just like Kero and was uploading pictures of Coda nearly a year before Kero posted those same photos on Fur Affinity. Kero, why were you so eager to go into detail with the deer video, which you are objectively innocent of being involved in, yet when it comes to this dog video, you're skipping over the details entirely and lying about why people think it's you?
Then Kero uses a clip from Kit the Solus again to defend himself.
Hey folks, just to shed some light on the Kero the Wolf thing, here's the log. Here's what the actual file looks like. Find and replace. Let's do Kero Wolf with Wilhelm Scream. Here's the new file. Wilhelm Scream. Hey folks, if it's this easy for me to fix one file, how hard would it be for somebody to, say, fake all of the logs? I just changed every instance of Kero's name in this to somebody else's. See the issue there? And people say it's not easy to fabricate this kind of thing. For shame.
I'm just going to use a clip from Mythical Red Fox to respond to that.
Messages on the Telegram servers are read-only variables after sending. Even if they're edited or deleted, they still exist on the server. An HTML log export is a copy of read-only variables on a Telegram server organized into a group of files and folders. Once they are downloaded to a PC, anybody can edit the HTML, and the timestamps will change. Timestamps, invalid message IDs, and syntax errors are what you look for to determine if a downloaded log has been tampered with. When messages are edited by the message owner on Telegram, the server updates the timestamps using the server's clock, not, I repeat, not the client device time you're using. Let me repeat that again for the people in the back. The server uses its own clock, not the client device's clock, to determine timestamps. Client devices then display that server timestamp based on the device's interpretation of its own time settings. This is why forwarded messages are important. They are read-only variables on the server itself and not editable by anyone else.
Along with that, Kit the Solus said he had evidence that the HTML logs were tampered with.
So, the logs are a pain in the I have looked through them. There are inconsistencies in the code. The ones that were cherry-picked by Pseudonym to prove that all the logs were real were just that. They were cherry-picked. Yes, those particular messages did belong to Kero's account. However, not all of the messages in those logs did. In fact, a majority of the logs that were against Kero had different ID tags in the coding. So, they were edited.
So, if I may be so bold as to ask, why aren't you showing us that?
Yet doesn't show it. Why wouldn't he show evidence to exonerate his friend? He's had 2 years since he made this claim. And if you want to know more about Kit the Solus, I'm going to link a YouTuber named Junkie's video on him below. If Kiwi Farms bad because they don't like RBG, well, Kit the Solus bad cause, well, there's a lot. Kero's HTML excuse also ignores that people had linked the account and forwarded messages to his official account. Many people, such as Nose Hyena. Kero then tries to divert the blame again by saying that people aren't helping anything by being mean to him.
People need to realize behind that profile picture is a real person. Also, there are more unproductive ways to help animals in need, like volunteering. Making hateful comments on the internet and making hateful videos doesn't help anyone. It doesn't find out the facts. It only hurts and confuses people more. I tried my best to help animals during my YouTube career by raising awareness for wildlife. You can do the same by volunteering at your local animal shelter.
Kero, what you've done, you don't get to play the moral high ground. I mean, it's America, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but no one with 2 IQ points to rub together is buying what you're selling. Kero tried to play the charity thing to excuse himself and act morally superior, but you know what? Just donate to animals. Animals are great, and you don't need to throw on a big show about it. Just donate right now, and go adopt a pet and treat it like the royalty it deserves. So the video went up, and Kero's mods were diligent in censoring the comments. Ratings were disabled, of course. There's someone I'm going to talk about now, Kero's mod. If you leave a negative comment on Kero's videos, a YouTube account, once went by Voice of Truth, now Truth King - Kero is not guilty, will go to your YouTube channel and leave a shit comment defending Kero. This man has been doxxed, but when faced with his dox, like Kero, he made up a really terrible excuse. And this guy nonstop sucks off Kero. But yeah, Kero got a lot of positive comments. One person asked, "Who faked the logs?" To which Truth King responded, "Do you want a name? It could have been any of hundreds of furry haters in the world. Are anyone jealous of Kero? We don't know the identity of who faked the logs." And the original leaker from Twitter closed their account. Pretty sus! Oh, I mentioned this in my original series. Kero at one point blamed, hunters, fur enthusiast hunters, because he was anti-fur and he thought fur enthusiast hunters hacked his account. After this, popular YouTube furry, Majira Strawberry, tweeted out, "He wants the views. Stop giving him views. Angry face." Kero immediately responded, writing, "You know what? At Tall Fuzzball, telling people not to watch my video isn't nice. Though seeing what you become, I wouldn't put it past you. Also, have you told your fans about your mersuiting adventures? Basil, right? The purple deer suit. Still funny how people think you're rated G. Well, it doesn't matter. You've been dead to me for years. We were friends, but now I don't see that ever happening again." This was not taken well. One person on Twitter responded, "Nice job outing someone for something that wasn't even half as bad compared to what you did. If you're going to blackmail someone as a form of defending yourself, it's clear that you have no ground left to stand on, and you won't be given a ground." To which Kero responded, "He's one of the people that almost pushed me over the edge to kill myself. I don't care for your feedback. This is between me and him." He continued, I'll take it down if he apologizes. That's all I ever wanted. Majira screencapped Kero's post and tweeted, "You know, at Kero the Wolf, this isn't exactly a good way to get people to trust you. Isn't that what you were hoping for today?" Shrug emoji. Despite Kero's YouTube channel sanitizing the comments, furries on Twitter were being extremely, well, let's say based. Oh, get this. Kero said he was in a dark place before. The dark place excuse works when you've been kind of a dick on the internet. It's not really a good excuse for getting caught in a bestiality ring. Kero apologized to Majira, but then a newcomer arrived, Joaquin Baldwin, an animator for Zootopia. You know, the Disney movie furries frickin' love? Joaquin responded, "I just noticed you followed me, Kero. Big, fat nope. Blocking and hope you don't return. Be gone."
Be gone, fuck!
Next, Kero's friend Kit the Solus made a comeback video about Kero. It was not well received.
That shines in this darkness, and it should not and will not be ignored. Kero has returned to our community, determined to once again bring hope and joy where others offer nothing but hatred and sorrow. He's come through investigations by 2 states in the last 2 years, both of which had involved a higher authority than their own, and neither of which could find any truth in the so-called evidence that they were presented. With everything he was accused of and more levied against him, he has been seen as innocent by our country's judicial system, as we all knew he would, and much to the chagrin of his original accusers. Now, like so many others who have been accused and attacked in his wake, he stands hardened against those who would wish the worst upon him, and like so many of us, he stands ready to bring back the pride and joy of our once beautiful community. We stand united, ready to lift up those who know what our community was meant to be, and who want to see furry become what it once was. A beacon of hope for those who share a common love of anthropomorphics.
Kero pinned this comment to his video. From Truth King, to the haters, let me give you the score. The number of charges Kero was found guilty of, 0. The number of charges filed against Kero that he had to fight, 0. The number of days Kero spent in jail, 0. The amount of money, in dollars, Kero spent on fines, 0. Next, on March 14th, Kero uploaded a video called Furry Fandom vs. Cancel Culture. Again, Kero is trying to equate people hating him for most likely being involved in an animal abuse ring as cancel culture.
There have been countless examples of people being defamed and attacked over these false accusations, all for chasing clout and trying to be accepted by society.
This ain't it, Chief. Kero will lie until he can't lie anymore, then he will go into hiding, come back, and try the lies again, hoping people forgot while playing victim. This video is... He starts out by saying the furry community is built on outcasts.
But people like to forget what the furry fandom was about originally. We were all outcasts. Our community was built on a common bond. And regardless of who you were and what you believed, that bond made you part of something more. We were always hated by the outside world, who saw what we did as a fetish.
This is true from what I have seen. The furry community is really accepting, and that's both good and bad. It's great to accept the weird and the strange, as long as they don't hurt others. What shouldn't be accepted is the degenerate creeps who hurt and abuse those weaker than them, aka zoophiles. Then he goes on to say cancel culture has no place in the fandom, and that the furry fandom should stop canceling its members. And other communities may look up to this stance and take note and stop canceling people.
If all we do is hate, then we're just gonna end up with more hate. Cancel culture has no place in our fandom. I really feel if we work hard and better ourselves as a community, we can be an example for other communities. People will say, oh, look at the furries. They're not canceling their members anymore. That's amazing, you know, we should do that too.
And holy crap, this argument is not good. The reason people outside of furries hate furries is because they let a lot of stuff pass to be accepting. Not calling Kero out would make the fandom look bad. In fact, I, as a non-furry, have found some furries I don't hate because of them calling out this animal abuse. Other groups on the internet won't like furries more for not speaking out against predators. Then Kero talks about how strange it is that people cancel people in the fandom who are mersuiters.
There are two sides of this community, the safe for work and the not safe for work. neither side is bad. There's a common misconception that the NSFW side is ruining the fandom. I can't tell you how many people have been canceled because they were mersuiters. Real talk, who cares what they do in their suit?
Just so you know, mersuiters are furries who wear suits with features so you can boink in suit. It's whatever. I don't care what two consenting adults do in private. The funny thing about this, Kero tried to cancel Majira Strawberry on Twitter for mersuiting before dropping this video. Then in the video, Kero said that he heard people say the fandom was going downhill because of controversy after controversy.
I know a lot of people watching this might say, oh, the fandom's going downhill. I've heard this complaint throughout the 2 years I was gone. It was controversy after controversy. The fandom is in a tough spot and it's growing in different ways.
Again, as an outsider, we don't really care about your little controversies. What looks bad is when furries are caught in acts of abuse. That is what looks bad. And calling that out isn't cancel culture. Repeat with me. Sexual abuse is not drama. Then Kero uses Kit the Solus as a source again, calling him a friend.
A friend of mine did a really great video about this and explains it way better than I can.
While reporting somebody quietly like this may not get you any real fame or recognition, it is a lot more effective because, while canceling somebody on social media does cause outrage, harassment, and the doxing of that particular individual, it doesn't actually do anything in the long run. It may drive them away for a short time, but it also gives them the option to lie low, change their name, and try again when the heat dies down, rather than have to deal with heavy fines and even incarceration for what they've done.
Again, check out Junkie's video.
Never seen someone outright call criticism hate over legal concerns, not to mention deleting comments criticizing him. He's actively gaslighting and silencing the opposition. He knows what he's doing here, and I'm not gonna play dumb. From the screenshots and the archives of his activity, this person is not to be trusted under any circumstance, especially with animals. Kit is a monster. He has admitted to molesting his own dog on Beast forums, gaslights victims, and refuses to show evidence whenever he speaks on the matter.
Speaking of that Beast forum thing, even if we did state that he's a zoo which he is thanks to Dolchmik digging up information about him, he'll just outright deny it, saying that it's someone pretending to be him. To which I call bull. Kit, you're a very tiny channel. Why on earth would someone pretend to be you and name your channel specifically? Not to mention your YouTube channel was made in 2006 and that Beast Forums account was made a year later. If that is a fake account, then that's one hell of a coincidence. Honestly, my thoughts can be summed up by this one comment made by Castian.
This video is the reason why people hate furries.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Anyways, if you guys are still watching this video, please give all the love and support to Junie Rue. Junie has been going through absolute hell. Kit's video was made to paint her in a different light. He intentionally victim blamed her and even threatened her. No joke, Junie even showed me a DM from Kit where he straight up blackmails her. I don't give a flying f*** if he had good intentions or not. He tried to mess with the victim of grooming and abuse.
Kero then says that cancel culture can really ruin someone's life and to call the cops instead.
You cross the line the moment you start to cancel somebody. If you honestly think someone is doing something illegal, report it to the police.
I will agree, cancel culture is bad when people are trying to ruin you because they don't agree with you or over false allegations. There has been false allegations that have hurt people, like with the case of Zaptai. Those situations don't have the overwhelming evidence that the Kero case does. And this isn't it, Chief. Then he says something about the furry fandom being a happy place and tired of these controversies every single week.
I can't be the only one that's tired of all these controversies every single week. While I was away, I watched dozens upon dozens of controversies unfold. Sometimes a creator got mad and sent their fans to attack a person. Other times it was a sensitive topic and someone took it a little bit too far. All I'm saying is that we need to be careful about what we say and how we handle things.
You know, I'm tired of people getting crap for 10-year-old tweets saying the R word or something. That stuff is annoying. But again, Kero, this isn't it. You weren't canceled for something trivial. Your reputation is in the gutter for good reason. Kero then says Twitter's toxic.
If I'm being honest, I think the biggest problem today is Twitter as a platform. This site encourages cancel culture. Unlike Facebook, where you're limited to the amount of people you're friends with virtually, Twitter is unlimited. I'm not saying that's a bad thing in general, but if one person has a negative thought, they can send it to thousands of people in an instant.
And yeah, okay, a broken clock is right twice a day. Twitter's pretty bad. Anyways, the comments were heavily monitored again on this video, but one came through from a popular furry, Beta Ada Dalota. Beta Ada writes, "No words can describe how disappointed I am to have to share a website with you. If you genuinely cared about the fandom that brought you up, you would just leave. You've dodged accountability for absolutely disgusting actions you took part in years ago. And you come back thinking you're in the right and the rest of the fandom is wrong about what you did, yet you've given no reason as to why they are wrong. That just shows me and everyone else that you have no actual care in the world for the fandom and for the people and the animals you've hurt." To which Kero responds, "Funny that you talk about that. I went through 2 police investigations. I had all my possessions taken away from me, and yet I was never charged with anything. You and the rest of the fandom need to take a step back and realize what you're doing by pushing the narrative that I'm still guilty, even when I went through the legal system and was not charged, is so hypocritical. Furries are so quick to hop on the bandwagon because you and the rest of the YouTubers are enabling them. If you truly want to make a difference and take a stance, instead of coming after me, how about you guys take a neutral stance and say, hey, he was investigated. You don't have to like him, but at the end of the day, police did look into it, and it came out he was not guilty by the court of law. That's simply all you have to say to fix a chaotic situation. By feeding into this, you're enabling hate. All of you claim to be big supporters of this fandom, but when it actually comes to supporting it, you're pushing it in the wrong direction. You and the other fur YouTubers have a lot of influence. Use it correctly. I have a lot to say about you, but I'll keep it short. I'm disappointed in you too. I really thought of you as a really good friend back in the day, but now I barely recognize you." Later on, around March 16th, Kero posted this to his YouTube community tab. "Okay, let's have a real discussion right now, because honestly, this is getting ridiculous. I don't care for hate comments, they don't bother me, but you cross the line when you try to hurt someone in real life. I was going to do a live stream and address unanswered questions, but now the live stream is cancelled because someone decided to swat the person interviewing me. Not only is this a crazy thing to do, but an illegal thing to do to someone. And by the way, he's pressing charges, so I hope you have fun with that. Majira, Beta, I know you may dislike me, but the more you promote this, the more that people are going to get hurt. You don't understand the impact behind your words. Because you kept promoting this, someone got hurt. You guys are encouraging hate. People will do crazy things under what you say. Be responsible. This isn't how you use your platform. You're literally telling people to go out and hurt other people. You're encouraging this behavior. You're better than this. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to take a neutral stance, especially those who are considered to be a public figure. As someone who people look up to, you need to be the one to inspire people to do good. Having someone attack another person and especially physically hurt that other person is not good at all. I can't believe what the furry YouTubers have become. You are all encouraging violence. I'm not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how many of your fans you're going to send to me. I came back as a wake-up call to this community, because as you can obviously see, the fandom is kind of toxic right now. Alongside of mine, there's 4 other controversies that are happening. A month before that, there were 5. It's a never-ending cycle. You guys have the influence to step up and be a real influence, but instead you rather use your platform for your own self-interest. This literally shows that you do not care for this community. Sure, there may be a smile behind your videos, but that's only so you can command them later to attack other people. Doxing, swatting, death threats is not a way that we should handle these types of situations. Stop promoting hate, promote unity. This behavior is totally unacceptable, and as long as I'm around, I'm going to keep addressing it. I actually want to read a pretty good response from Boozy Badger over on Twitter. He responded to this better than I could. He writes, "Look, let's just be honest here. Neither Majira nor Beta had much to do with what happened. You're deflecting the fact that people, independent of them, are put off by you and do things. And in doing so, you're spinning this as some rivalry of us against them in what I can only assume is a way to polarize issues. It's no longer about the accusations against you, the discussion surrounding it, or the issues that people are having regarding them. It's not about your initial reaction of insisting it was a hack, backing away from that, backing away from the backing away, then reappearing and, without providing answers, attempting to insinuate yourself as a large part of the community again. It's now Majira and Beta are silencing me. I'm just about the last person who's going to say this. Why didn't you say anything for 2 years? I get it. Your lawyer was telling you to keep your damn mouth shut until you were in the clear, legally speaking. Good job on behalf of your lawyer. They gave you good advice. But now you're spinning this out into something it isn't, to try and gain a semblance of credibility, and you're making a hash of it. They're not literally telling people to go out and hurt other people. They've done nothing of the sort. They've told people not to give you the attention you're seeking in these comments and videos. Do not support this person is not the same as kill this person. And it isn't the same as swat this person. You know this on an intellectual level, but people are so put off by me at this point that they are reacting viscerally to my presence. Doesn't make for as juicy as a narrative as the popular kids are amassing an army against me. You're going for the juicy narrative to make this some single man standing up to bad cancel culture thing. That isn't what it is. This is people reacting to you, not people reacting to you because two big names told them to. Let's stick to the facts. 2 years ago, you were part of leaked messages that directly or indirectly have led to subsequent arrests and convictions at the very least tangentially related to them. You reacted by insisting you were hacked. Then you insisted the messages were faked. Then you acknowledged some of the messages were real, but only the non-problematic ones. They weren't screenshots, they were months of conversations. Your position is that someone with access to months of messages went through them and sporadically and somewhat expertly inserted fake messages into just your chats. That alone begins to weigh towards the unbelievable. You then take the position that although the messages were obviously false and easy to fabricate, they became the basis of a 2-year-long investigation that included police agencies from 2 different states and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You present this as being silenced. You state this investigation drew out so long based on the police going through the devices they seized under a search warrant. You present the warrant as being the result of a single phone call. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that as a big red doubt, because in Pennsylvania, as in other places, the issuance of a search warrant must be based upon showing of probable cause, and generally a single unsupported random call stating X has Y illegal thing isn't going to be enough to sustain that. There's something else needed to get over the warrant hurdle, and we both know it. So, and let me be clear, at this point, your defenses are more or less those logs, which were with someone who has now been convicted of and imprisoned for sexual offenses, which covered a reasonably extensive period of time and subjects, were edited specifically to make me look bad, and a random phone call, which the police then used in addition to something else, established enough probable cause that a search of my devices would locate illegal material that a warrant was issued by a magistrate, and indeed allowed them to seize and forensically analyze my devices. There's smoke here, whether you want to admit it or not. Swatting is, of course, wrong under any circumstance. Swatting can hurt not just the person being targeted, and it's never okay to do. Though, as with most Kero claims, I take the event of this occurring with a grain of salt. But later on, we find out in a video by Kit the Solus that was released on March 15th that he was the one that was swatted.
Oh, and for the individual who was so kind to try to send SWAT to my front door during my last stream, thank you for that, by the way. I've got 3 things to tell you. 1, my county no longer rolls out the big guns for anonymous threats. 2, they do, however, come to your door, ask to search the house, which that's one of the reasons why the stream ended. And 3, what you did in my area, at least, is considered attempted murder. So guess what? Yes, I did tell them that I want to press charges, so they're going to be tracing that call, and when they find you, I'm going to make certain that you wind up in a cell. Have fun with that knowledge.
Also, again, no evidence is shown. Also in this video, Kit says he was done defending Kero.
Now, with all of that said, there have been 2 Kero videos put out in the span of a weekend, and neither of them really addressed anything, so Kero, I know you're watching this, dude. I honestly want what is best for you, but you really have to f***ing address some things. And yes, I know, there are some things that you can't legally talk about. It's a thing that tends to happen when you've been under investigation for 2.5 years. But seriously, address some of it. Find the things that you can legally talk about. Make a video and f***ing talk about them. Oh, and if you've gotten this far and you are actually listening, if you think this is me hopping over to the Kero is guilty side, not really, because, quite honestly, I still don't believe that he is guilty of even half of the shit that he was accused of, because, honestly, guys, if he was guilty of even half of that shit, he'd be worse than Norman Bates. Or, I mean, I could have also just said O.J. Simpson, because that seems to be the default for you guys to equate him to anyways, and I still don't get what a rich football star murderer has in common with somebody who apparently f***ed a dog. seriously learn how to actually interpret scale of severity in a crime. Anyhow, as of this video going up, I'm done. I'm done talking about the Kero controversy. I'm done talking about anything that has to do with his case or what have you.
I also want to note that Kit talks about some of his Twitter death threats.
You guys have come up with some interesting ways to tell me to kill myself, from the generic as telling me to hang myself to one of you guys suggested I give myself a Tide Pod enema and then essentially finish it off by taking an entire tank of helium, shoving it up my ass, cranking it up, and inflating myself until I explode.
Let's continue though. Kero came back for his final video before leaving the fandom again on the 22nd of March. In it, he deflects again, not seeing any fault of his own.
Why? Why did I come back? I always knew this was a suicide mission. I always knew a lot of people were not going to listen to me. But during those 2 years I was gone, I had a lot of regret in not saying anything when I left the community. I was essentially forced off, I was confused, and just in general, really hurt.
And in the video, he thanks Majira Strawberry and Beta Ada for calling him out and giving him views.
I knew me coming back would get a lot of attention. And, you know, between the two videos, my goal was to get 100K. And boy, did I surpass that with flying colors. And this wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the biggest figureheads in our community promoting those videos. I want to thank Majira and Beta for helping promote my videos. They got tons of views, and the message got out there.
This bitch had the audacity.
He literally pulls the "my haters make me stronger" thing. Then he has an emotional speech about standing up to cancel culture.
I just don't want to fight an uphill battle where the end result makes me unhappy. This isn't me giving up on my channel, it's letting go. It's honestly really hard for me to say goodbye. I love my channel and I love the people that support me. But I will always be in this fandom. Just because I'm not Kero anymore doesn't mean I'll be gone for good. I will always be here in one form or another. I know you guys will make this community great. Stand up for yourself and others. Don't take crap from anyone. If you see someone getting hurt from cancel culture, or just in general being bullied, don't be afraid to stand up and say something. All it takes is a pebble to start a ripple.
Girl, bye. Bye. Get out. Get out. Get out.
And says he's staying on his Patreon, but he's going to be leaving YouTube.
Over the next few days, I will be releasing some Patreon content to you guys, because I know they're videos that you will all love. I will be somewhat active on Patreon to keep Kero alive. I still have many ideas for videos, and I want to try different things while I figure out what I want to move on to next. I will also occasionally make a community tab post on my YouTube to check in.
Then soon after Kero dropped his video, Archive the Wolf dropped their response to Kero. You should definitely check it out. Archive has some great points, like how they refute Kero's point about him not being arrested makes him innocent by pointing out that the fursuit maker Wildlife has had videos with her face clear as day sexually abusing her dogs and wasn't arrested, which shows how easy it is to get away with it.
If this would have been true, I would not be here talking to you today. I would be in jail.
The lack of an arrest does not mean a suspect is innocent. Java Chicken, better known by her fursuit maker name Wildlife, has been caught twice sexually abusing her dogs. She took pictures of herself doing it, with some pictures showing her entire face. There was no denying it was her in those pictures. And she didn't even attempt to deny it either time. She's confessed to both the public at large and the police. Yet despite all this, she has never spent a moment in jail. To this day, she hasn't even been charged with anything. And it isn't a matter of her not breaking the law, because where she lives, bestiality is illegal. A police investigation ending without an indictment does not mean that a crime didn't happen, and being not guilty isn't the same as being innocent.
And Archive also points out how often Kero deletes evidence.
If there's any evidence being used against me, the police would have found it.
Sure, unless you scrubbed and encrypted your devices, which is exactly what the lead investigator for your case complained about. It sure would be a shame if you had displayed a consistent behavioral pattern of deleting evidence that would corroborate with this claim. You know, like that time you deleted your Telegram less than 5 hours after the logs were posted. Or that time you deleted your Periscope garage tour video after people used it to connect the dots with animal abuse videos featuring a dog identical to yours in a garage identical to yours. Or how about that time you removed your classic ARF ARF greeting from your YouTube About section after people pointed out the chat logs featured the same greeting? Or how about that time you deleted all your tweets and privated the video about your boyfriend, Colwyn Colley, after people pointed out he was actually the zoo sadist, Ilwan Sheppy Paws? Or that time you deleted all pictures of your dog from Fur Affinity after I pointed out some of those same pictures were uploaded to Beast Forum before you even made your Fur Affinity? Or the time you removed all mention of cheesecake from your Fur Affinity after I pointed out that a Zoophiles Kick username was identical to your saying about cheesecake? Boy, I wonder why the police would have a hard time finding evidence on someone like you.
Also, they point out a really good point about the length of the investigation.
A lot of people say that I got away with it because of legal loopholes, such as denying a search or statute of limitations. However, these people do not know the law. If there was some legal loophole, my case would have been closed a long time ago. Hell, it would have been closed in a week.
Oh, you mean like that bullshit 5-day-long police investigation your friend Ashley Zoe Fox completely faked, hoping it would make people stop calling the police on you? This is not how the police work. What would actually cause an investigation to conclude that quickly is if the police could immediately tell the evidence being submitted was false. They do not conclude that quickly when the evidence is substantial. The real world does not work like Law & Order or CSI, where forensics equipment is always immediately available and crimes are solved in a couple days. Police have limited resources and only so many hours in the day. It takes time to investigate. And the fact the police determined there was enough evidence against you to put 2 years worth of time into investigating you is not the sign of innocence you want people to believe.
Then, like a totally innocent person, Kero copyright claimed Archive the Wolf's entire video. The video is obviously fair use, but in my opinion, Kero has done this to intimidate Archive the Wolf. You see, if you aren't familiar with the copyright claim system on YouTube, to counterclaim a copyright claim on the platform, you have to provide a signature of your full name and eventually your address. I'm pretty positive Kero knows this, and is obviously trying to scare Ark into silence. This is a major flaw of the copyright system on YouTube. It can help provide information to people who will harass you. Obviously, Ark's response struck a nerve with Kero, because they very aptly pointed out all of Kero's lies much better than I have. Kero panicked and decided to take to a tactic of intimidation. This is not the behavior of an innocent man. Ark's video is still currently down as I type this, but I hope it is reinstated soon because this is a violation against YouTube TOS on false copyright claims. But I have to end it here. Where we are right now, McBitty Paws is waiting to get more information on the investigation to see if it was actually closed. Kero lies nonstop, so do not trust him without evidence to back him up. He said it's closed, but, maybe it's not. I don't trust him. So I'm gonna give you my closing now. When I saw Kero come back, my heart dropped. This guy should have stayed gone. I myself have never seen a situation with so much evidence pointing to guilt without any legal repercussions. Anyone defending Kero at this point will probably not be convinced, but for the people watching this return in anger, I like to say that this video was for you. Kero's supporters will paint those of us upset with Kero's return as haters, as bad people for sending hate, but I think it's a very human feeling. I've seen so many horrendous things in my dive into this that I don't really think I myself can look at the world the same. I didn't know humanity could be so low. I personally am a person who's very open to second chances for people, but there are situations where there's no coming back in my opinion. This is one of those situations. I have no regrets making my content about Kero. The only way all of this evidence could have accumulated through fakery and coincidence, in my opinion, is through magic. And I don't believe in magic. Kero may have not been the worst one from the leaks. Wolf, Snake Thing, and Timwin are way worse. But just because Kero wasn't the worst doesn't mean he should continue to spew lies with no repercussions. So Kero, I'll be here to respond to you and all your lies. This video is very much less evidence heavy than my last 2 videos, but check those out if you want more information. This was just a response, and a little bit more emotional than most of my content. So we are closing out. I'd like to thank my patrons listed here. You guys rock. I paused my Patreon payments for the last month, and coming up, I'm only going to charge when I put out long-form content, so it's not going to be a monthly charge anymore. It'll be a once-in-a-while thing, so feel free to become one if you want. But totally optional. Just thank you all. I'd also like to thank everyone who helped throughout everything. Archive the Wolf, subbed to them for investigative information on this topic, McBitty Paws, who helped report their case to the law, Coyote Lovely, Deadwing Dork, Toad McKinley, Mr. Medicare, and whoever else just got information out there. And that's the end. Suffer lightly.